Should we
Should we start?
start?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you
Is
can.
there an awkward silence?
Yeah. Hi, I'm music journalist Amit Gurbaksani, and I think we can all agree that 2020 has been a rather extraordinary year, and that music has been one of the few things that has helped basically comfort and uplift us during this rather crazy year. And every year Geo Savan celebrates the music and the musicians that help sort of make a year special. And like every year, they are running their year-end campaign called Geo Savan Repay. And this year, they made it extra special by sort of having this little extension called Geo Savan Creators. And today's roundtable is an extension of that campaign. And as far as roundtables go, it's a really special one because we've got 4 artists who've had amazing streams this year. They've got all the top artists of the year. And I'm going to introduce them one by one in alphabetical order. We have Arman Malik, G.V. Prakash, Nikita Gandhi, and Rochak Kohli. Firstly, thanks all of you guys for being here, and congratulations for a spectacular year. You've all had huge amounts of hits, and I mean, just the variety of the kind of music that you worked out is just amazing. I was doing a bit of research, and I saw that. I mean, just looking at, you guys have worked in in film. You guys have worked in Bollywood, Telugu, Kannada, Marathi, Bengali, in the variety of Tamil, of course, all variety of languages, and that's just film. And then you've done non-film work in some of these languages, all of you. And then you've also worked across the board in different some of you have done stuff for TV shows, for OTT platforms and web series, even for audio streaming platforms, and the labels run by them. And you have done of course, your own independent stuff, and, stuff that I'm most passionate about. You've done independent stuff on your own that you've recorded, and you've worked with other independent composers. So it's really been, and also on top of that, you'll have launched international careers. So, I mean, it's a whole bunch of stuff happening in what has been a fairly challenging year. Back in the day, artists were sort of slotted in a certain category. And that today, you can essentially decide on your own what you want to be, and you can be multiple things at the same time. Or do you feel that you're still slotted in one particular category?
I think for the longest time, singers in our country were considered as traditional playback singers, rather than, probably pop singers or rappers or whatever. Ultimately, everyone was slotted in this playback singing zone, which for the longest time I wanted to kind of remove from my end, because I feel like we are so much more than just singers for films. We have an artistry inside of us that hasn't come to the fore for all these years. But I think 2020 has been that landmark year for all of us to kind of bring out that artist inside of us, and the true voice that we've always wanted to bring. I don't know if it's because the film music went down this year that we got the confidence to do stuff in the independent zone, and I just hope that this continues the way it does, and doesn't die down when film music starts coming back up. I think it's been such an amazing year for Indian musicians overall, from all genres, not only pop but even rap, hip hop. All of us have just been doing some amazing work across the board, and I'm so glad that we all are getting an opportunity to bring out stuff that we've always wanted to.
And Nikita, I was looking at basically all the releases that everybody's had, and I can't believe it, but I think you've had over 30 or 3 dozen singles out this year. And I was just wow, how, what lockdown, what pandemic, she's been
Clearly the lack of distraction makes us more productive. I feel I think it's a beautiful thing for artists, because we literally had nothing else to do except work on the stuff that we were trying to work on but probably didn't get time to work on. And I was just speaking to some of my bandmates who were saying that I had so much focus because I was just playing my instrument, because I didn't have to think about the flight the next day or some gig the day after.
Yeah.
I think it's a simple thing as just kind of focusing, and a lot of people figured out their priorities. Like Arman said, that we want to be perceived a certain way, we don't want to be perceived a certain way, and I think for me it was just Pandora's box. I was just like, okay, I'm gonna all these songs that I had in my mind. I just want to like finish them and release them. And a time like this will never come. Having said that, I hope that it never stops coming as well.
Yeah, yeah. Firstly, I wanted to ask you guys what you think of this term, because I find it a bit, I don't know, I find it a bit weird. This term non-film, you know.
I think it's better than indie.
Yeah. But is it better? Like, why do you feel it's better than indie?
I don't know. There's this weird conception around indie music that is like, it's like if you have less people listening to you, it's part of the genre. Like, you know, like somehow there's this weird like stigma around it. Oh, he's an indie musician.
Yeah.
So I think the point is all musicians, all art across in film and non-film are want an audience and want people to listen to it. So.
Yeah. And what do you guys think about it, Rochak? I mean, what do you feel about this?
I think, first of all, you know, wonderful question, this non-film indie or whatever conversation we are having. I think tagging it as indie or non-film again would be slotting, you know. So I really think that, you know, the audience which earlier used to listen to film music, you know, is now listening to music which doesn't belong to the film.
Yeah.
So that is basically essentially non-film for me, you know, that I'm, catering to the same audience with a different set of music, you know, which doesn't belong to a film.
Yeah.
So that's a great deal for me as an artist, you know. This feeling of, you know, getting out and taking, you know, starting my own channel and, you know, getting out my own music was there somewhere, you know, under the sheets. और वो sheet कभी उठती नहीं थी. But I think what this pandemic did to all of us as artists, you know, was that first of all, it gave us a feeling of fear. And then, you know, that fear converted into courage. You know, because fear था सबसे पहले कि यार अब क्या करें? You know, entertainment industry has been hit the most. You know? So we were all very scared, yeah. And at that point of time, everybody was scared, and you know, people just सबने कहा कि हाँ अपना अपना भी देखो क्या करना है, you know. And that's how we got the courage to, okay, you know, these are the things that I always wanted to do. Like I started my channel from zero, you know, and now today I've got like more than 1 lakh subscribers on it within 6 months, you know. So, and I'm not, you know, a front face camera guy, you know. I've always been, you know, behind, you know, the scenes. And for me, I think it's a great revelation, and it's a great, you know, deal to be in.
Yeah. And you know, I think for you it's also particularly interesting because you do your own stuff, like you said, you put it on your channel, and then you also do the stuff that you do for labels, and you know, and that's primarily compositional work, but it's in the same sort of like this category of non-film. So you know, I mean,
think the spectrum is huge, and I like to, you know, be challenged every time, and you know, I like to work on different you know, sounds and different things. And you know, so मैंने सोचा था ये कि I'll start my channel with the branded indie stuff, but as Nikita said, you know, I got those 100 followers, so so you know, I slowly moved to the branded non-film stuff on my own channel, because primarily my audience came from all the non-film work I was doing for labels. And now when I have, you know, you know, substantial audience, now I again give them the indie stuff, and that's how, you know, this journey will be fun. So I guess, you know, there shouldn't be a monotony in music. So
yeah. And GV, you know, for you also, you launched your English songs, you know, which is something that I think you've been wanting to do for a long time. And is that something that became possible only this year? Because otherwise you're so busy. And we can tell right now because you're talking to us from like on location.
Actually, you know what, like, this was like one particular time, you know, where I had like, I was at my house and I didn't know what to do, and I was like stuck, and this corona thing was happening. And then suddenly I thought, okay, we have been having this dream for a long time of doing the English single. Why don't we do it? Like, you know, produce it, get it sorted, and, you know, release it. It's been like it's like a dream from my childhood, like, you know, to come up with some independent English stuff. So the only challenge was we can't meet up musicians, or you can't, like, you know, physically work with musicians. So we'll have to work on Zoom calls, and then your internet and all those stuff. So I kind of took up the challenge, and, you know, and me being a programmer, I could program my own stuff. So I had to organize it accordingly. So a situation will get you to do the stuff. Like say you're stuck in a pandemic and you don't know what to do, and then you come up with an option. Say, okay, let's do our own independent stuff and let's do this. So I think it will like pave way to new stuff, and after the streamings services are like on, people want to listen to something new. It's not like now we're not restricted to film music.
Yeah, and like everybody said, I mean, the hope is that now that things are going back to normal and films are back in production, that this balance will be maintained, And Arman, for you, this was going to be like the year. I mean, this has been the year where you launched your international career, and it has been so successful despite everything. But like, did you and your team did you all have to, go back to the drawing board and, re-strategize, because obviously you couldn't do I'm guessing, execute some of the plans that you wanted to execute?
I think the only thing that we missed out on was getting the US leg of promotions into this because of the travel restrictions. It would have helped the song even more. But having said that, I think the main focus was for the initial stuff. It was a great introduction to this whole new world that I'm trying to present to my fans. And obviously, the next leg of things would be to kind of action stuff outside of India even more than it already did for me, and amplify whatever I've done so far. I actually made a song called "Next to Me" in the pandemic.
Okay.
Just because I was feeling so disheartened, not being able to go out on live shows and stuff like that. But then I realized, wait, I'm not going to get this time again to sit on the keys and come up with something new and have all this time to produce a new song.
Your team and you came up with some pretty innovative things, right? I mean, do you want to talk a little bit about what you all did for Next to Me? Because you all got people to send in their own sort of like videos and stuff, right?
Yeah. So I think I don't know if this was done before in India, but we tried to do a very unique thing by creating a website for Next to Me, where people could go to the website, probably upload their picture or someone who they're missing, and they would get an IG story that would download to their phone, and they could post that to their story and tag the person that they're missing. I was missing so many people, so I was like, of course there are a million people who are missing someone and they want them next to them. So it really worked for that song, and it was a very unique idea. I don't think a website was ever made for a song specifically for something like this.
What about the rest of you guys? I mean, were there some new strategies that you guys had to employ or come up with?
Yeah, definitely for me, yes.
Rochak's been killing it.
I was very, I was minimal at my social media, and so were my followers. So, I started, of course, engaging more in the tools, and I think that's all. That's how we all learn also. To connect directly with our fans, and what really our fans need, and ye fans hote kaun hai, so we come to know through these tools of social media. So I'm glad I'm posting whatever I feel like, and I'm getting good responses. Also, I think social media trends are so they are changing like every 3 months. So it's very important for all of us to be aware, of what is happening. What is, for example, my last song, we did a campaign on TikTok. This song, we are doing a campaign on Reels. Probably next song. For the artist, it's very important to understand the promotion, the business side of it, I think, because that's how the artist also connects to the campaign. Otherwise, like as Arman was saying, he also, got engaged in the idea, he was sat down and, he was explained the idea. So that's how, the artist also connects with the whole campaign.
But also, did you all want to sort of, now that you had the time, were you reading your comments more closely? Were you going and seeing what your fans were saying? Was that stuff that you all started doing that you all didn't have the time to do before, simply?
I should share my screen time with you guys. You will be flabbergasted. It's my eyes literally pain every day. I don't know. Like it's been an obsession for me to keep like seeing what people. And for me, it's like the first time that I did something that I've really wanted to do, English music. I'll be shameless about it. I was scrolling through every comment.
But I mean, you have such a passionate fan base, and I think that's the reason why you do, because you have the strong connection with them. I've seen how passionate your fans are about you. Every time I tweet something about you, it's like I get so many like fan clubs sort of retweeting and then some following me. I was like, oh, like, wow, that's quite amazing.
I think that, there was a few years back, we stars or idols or whatever you want to call it, I think we were very distant from the followers, like unapproachable is what the word I would use. But through social media, I think we've come closer. We can talk to them as like friends over the internet. I think it's like that for me. I'm very chill with them.
So I'm like one generation older to Arman, I'll admit that, and my generation has been in denial ever since. So Facebook aa gaya, deny. YouTube aa gaya, deny. Instagram, deny. So for like, the first 5-10 years, we just deny. Uske baad, when everybody's on it, then we feel left out. That's the issue. That's that's been killing me. Yeah.
Yeah. We all have to be on, whether we like it or not, we have to be on social media.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah. Nikita, you talked about like the idea of like indie music getting like 100 streams, but it's like, are streaming numbers something that you started looking at more closely now that, we evolve in this sort of time?
I think Rochak pointed out that it's important for us musicians to understand the business of music as well, which is something that I've always been very poor at. I'm not a numbers person at all, and I just do like whatever is natural to me, and if it works, it works. It doesn't work, it doesn't. And although that's a very innocent and sweet way of approaching one's career, it may not always be the most like lucrative or smart way of kind of moving forward. And though I've always been an extremely jugaru musician, I've edited my own videos even before. But like, during this time, we really had to up our game in terms of self-sufficiency and Atmanirbhar. So it was fun. I think that's the joy of being a creative person, that we find creativity, you like put us in a box and we'll find something creative to do in that box.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of our profession and what we do and why we love doing it. And so yeah, I mean, we did have to pay attention a little more to the numbers. I think more in terms of like, I don't know, do you guys like usually, does it affect you emotionally, like if one song does better than the other? Or
I think when the data is there, why shouldn't we use it? When earlier data was not there. I've spent a long time in radio, like 8 years in radio, and at that time, there was only this RAM, RAM survey that used to come, and that was a very random survey. People filling in manual entries. Some 200 people, and multiplied into some lakhs of people. So now we are getting real data. We are getting real. Kitne subscribers, kisne kis time pe suna, how much time did this person listen to, what is your cutoff point, everything is available. Why shouldn't we use it?
Absolutely.
To be honest, we feel like a certain place is streaming your songs
Definitely.
more than the other three, whatever. You probably plan to do a gig or a show there so that you can go and meet your fans there and perform for them. So I think it's great. Like even JioSaavn has Artist Insight, which I've been like, me and my team have been like just going into it deep, and more than the streaming numbers, I think, yes, Nikita was right. Sometimes it does emotionally cause you to kind of feel like, oh, why did this song not do well? And why did this song do well? But instead of that, I also see like this song is done well, probably in some other country than in India. So then those are different insights. You can plan accordingly and do some stuff like probably do a collab with an artist from that country which is streaming your music, and that will help boost up streams there or whatever. So I think back-end data is really helpful. Like Rochak said, only thing is we shouldn't make music according to data. That's the only thing that I would like to add here, that a lot of people focus too much on data and then model the music to be data friendly or streaming friendly. I think that shouldn't happen. The craft should come from within, but it should help you lead where you're going or where you're taking your journey. That's all.
Yeah, that's a very great point. GB, what about you? I mean, obviously you've had tremendous success with, the Tamil soundtracks that got released. Even though the movies got delayed, the songs did really well. At the same time, you released the English stuff. As everybody is saying, the English stuff was like a passion sort of project for you. Obviously, the streaming numbers are not going to match up between the two. So, like, how do you sort of look at all of this?
Actually, like what Arman said, you are completely reintroducing ourselves to a new audience. We will be all these days we'll be delivering to all the like towns and villages, all those places where a different set of music is being heard. The language is a huge thing. Like I've done some 85 films as a music composer for the past say 14 years. That was a different journey, and it had a 85 film and a 14-year hard work in it. So now there starts a new journey where I get introduced to a new audience, and without like like physical appearances, physical promotions, nothing, and it's going to be just the music which has to speak. It will take its time. It's like it evolves itself, and it will find its own audience. And it's like it's very passionate. So as you said, it's about passion, and slowly it starts building from now. It's just a starting point, I will say.
And it's quite amazing because, being such an established performer, like you said, and then to actually take that risk and say, look, I'm going to reintroduce myself. I'm going to say, this is me as, like somebody who's performing in English. I mean, like, what, is that something that you, like, what was it simply the fact that you had the time to do it this year? Or were there some other factors involved that, you said, okay, let me...
I'm also an actor. I've done like around 15, 16 films as an actor. Now, it takes a lot of my physical time. Like, see, now I'm here in Satyamangalam forest. I'm, like with my tan makeup, and I'm there waiting for my shot to go. And I will not have the time to like go and program or, like compose or write a song. Maybe you will have a spark. You'll record it on your voice recorder. You'll do all those things. But still, you have to be physically there to do or, chase your dreams.
But I love that what you said, it's the journey that he's had, and then now he's having a new journey. You can't rush up the journey. It has to take its own course of time, be it with the non-film indie, whatever you want to call it. I think we all are starting on this journey, and we're going to find our own audience along the way.
And connected to that in a way, I wanted to talk about work-life balance. Is that something that all of you were managed to kind of configure? GV, I mean, you had a baby, right? Like in like at the beginning of the lockdown. So
congratulations.
Thank you. So yeah, it was like a blessing. Of course, I could spend a lot of time with her, and it happened exactly in on April, and it was like the heaviest period of the lockdown, and I had to it was we had a lot of panic. Of course, it was like a huge tension situation. But then after that one particular period of the the birth, after that like I had like 6 months I could spend with her, and spend a lot of time with her. Last 30 days I've been like out, and I've been shooting, and we have to get back to normal again. We need to get back to work.
What about like for Nikita, what about for you? I mean, you work so much.
In this interim, we did reinvent ourselves. Everybody, I think, across all professions, everybody kind of had a moment of epiphany during the lockdown where they realized what's important to them and what's not. So even though the world is going to go back and unpause, I think we're going to go back to normal life with a whole new attitude and a whole new respect. As Rochak said, that there was a fear in the beginning. I actually had this fear that, oh my God, now this time to be able to make things is also going to go away. But I think that we are going to go back to normalcy with a whole new respect for life. So I assume there will be a lot of change.
And did it make you want to change the way that you work or the way that you approach your work?
Personally, I've always been a workaholic and like the kind of person who always wants to do things. So I think it drove me a little mad that I didn't have things, kind of forced in my direction. So I kind of took out that creative frustration on food and my hair. I like braided my hair many colors, and that seemed to attract a lot of attention.
Where's blue hair?
Yeah, and everyone was like, I really love your hair, and I was like, do I tell that person that it was just like for a few days? but yeah, I think we all found new things, even if they're like silly and stupid.
I found my new beard style.
Right.
It's so long.
Yeah, and you talked about sort of sound, and Rochak, I wanted to ask you. Sometimes I feel that non-film stuff is very much sort of like, sometimes it sounds like just like a film song, except that it's not in a film. and whereas the indie stuff sounds more like that artists really wanted to create, And but do you see the sound changing? Do you feel that like how do you feel the sound of popular music is changing? Roger, for you, I think Meri Ashiki, I think it's like maybe the third or fourth sort of song released in 20, like it's one of the top songs released this year, basically. And that song has such a strong 90s, feel to it. Like, was that something that you found that basically is that people want to hear that sound now because there's like people are feeling very nostalgic these days?
Yeah, I think every kind of sound has its own journey and its own era, probably a time frame or whatever we can say. 90s, because it has a very, very strong melody factor in it, and which people miss in, say, today's compositions, or probably, we as composers, are not as melodious, we can say, because we experiment with different genres, with different chord sets, with different things. And 90s, was a very simple, plain Jane, 4-chord, 3-chord structure, sound, in which they used to bring a lot of melody and all, heartfelt melody. So I guess bringing that back was the idea with Meri Ashiki. And after that, on the same thing, on the same sound, I made like 3-4 more singles, like Bewafa Tera Masoom is the latest, and Dil Tod Ke was there. So, but I don't think that, this is going to be the way, forever. I think this is the time that, okay, this sound is working. So having said that, I also feel that there's this one, sound for the time being, and there is one sound of the artist, So that thing, needs to be worked on continuously. Baki, so I don't know till what time people are going to consume these, 90s sounding tracks, because, till now it's been working very well. And I guess I've got like 3-4 other tracks coming up in the same sound frame, or say sound set kind of a thing. That also gives me the opportunity to bring in something new, something completely new, because to surprise the audience. So that's also a great challenge that I could take.
Yeah. And Arman, you work in so many different sort of basically different kind of like languages, genres, everything. How are you seeing like like popular music changing over the years? I mean, even if you're looking at different kind of segments.
I personally felt like a lot of non-film songs were sounding like film songs. But I think that's mostly label-led. And when an artist gets to do what they want to do on their own, I think that is what defines, I feel, real non-film music, should define real non-film music in our country. I think there'll be no difference if Bollywood and non-film have the same sound palette. There has to be some kind of distinction. When it comes to regional stuff, I'm really keen to probably do a lot of non-film stuff in regional languages as well. I don't think that language is going to be a barrier anymore. A song like Butta Bamma, or even a Tamil song, for example, can break the charts and do better than Hindi songs or even English songs. So I feel we need to, as a multilingual singer, I think I want to spread my wings even further in the non-film world, and not just keep my regional songs just film songs. I would love to do like non-film regional songs and like make that a thing as well.
But like, do you find that there are different trends happening in different areas, or?
Yeah, I mean, you have to focus on, like, see, suppose you do something in the South region. You need to know what works in that region to kind of attune your music and fuse it with what's happening there. You can't do an alien thing and then expect everyone in South to kind of like wake up to the fact and love it, because they have a certain way that they have heard their music. There are certain beats that they groove with. 6/8 is a thing that is a very big thing in South film industry. Even when it comes to romantic tracks, they have a really modern sound to the romantic tracks. They don't use always the old school strings or whatever it is. They have like really cool hip hop beats happening with a romantic song. So it's you have to probably scan through the markets and see what's really working, and then bring your element to it.
No, for sure. And GV, like, you want to like talk a little bit more about the South space and how trends are changing there?
Actually, maybe a few years back, there was this format, like film songs has this format of like one mukda and then like two antras and then three BGMs. This is like one standard format which has
Yeah.
been, people have been following for like decades or like, from beginning of cinema. But now it's changed. You don't need to have two antras, and you can just have one antra. You can have a hook phrase, and completely. There's no format to it. Like you find a hook thing, and you play with it, and sounds have been changing. Like the sound in the Tamil music and Telugu. Like I try to be like as modern as possible, and of course, like when I do a film like Talaivi, I tried in where I've tried to recreate the R.D. Burman era of music. Because the film belongs to a particular time period. But other than that, the formats have changed. It just has to be catchy, or either it has to shake you, or it has to make you dance, or it has to make you feel some emotional connect should be there, to a song. And I think that's enough. Rather than formats to be followed.
Yeah, because ultimately emotion is what's going to make people connect with that. I mean, I always joke, and I think this is an industry joke, that there are no genres in Indian music. There's basically three types of Indian music: happy love, sad love, and party.
Yeah. There's only dard. देखो pain होना चाहिए या heart में होना चाहिए या dance कर करके पैरों में pain होना चाहिए या
heartbreak sells like anything. Like both my English songs are like heartbreak tracks.
That's a very concerning thing, though. That the audience is so moved by heartbreak. Why is everyone so heartbroken?
No, there are so many heartbroken.
I think maybe people have separated in lockdown, so probably it's the theme for the pandemic.
But heartbreak always sells.
This love factor.
Or probably they've realized that they should have been separated in the lockdown. Yeah,
I think that it's. Like you said, I think that the fact that people want to listen to this kind of music because it sort of resonates with what they're feeling right now,
Yeah, exactly.
Generally a sad time. But like Rochak, your songs are almost like a story. Meri Aashiki, Dil Tod Ke, then Bewafa. It's like each song title is like telling like a.
No, don't tag me with those songs. I mean, of course, I'm very proud of them, but they are just for the time being, and I really look forward to films getting back and getting back to film music.
The real Rochak Kohli, please stand up.
Actually, I had a happy song that was like for the very appropriate for the lockdown, right? Ye Sari Baat. That was like a happy song.
Unfortunately, we have very limited happy people in our country. So. But I'm really proud of every piece of music that I'm putting across, and being a commercial, being in the commercial field of music, where we are making music on briefs. And I think this internet revolution also, that has happened in the Hindi heartland, for in the last 6 months, is huge. So that's how these songs of these 90s era recreated versions, it's killing out there, and that's how these strong stream numbers.
No, that's a good point.
But I also I want to point out one thing. I think India as a country, the kind of music that we do across the board, be it film, be it non-film, it's so diverse. I don't think any other country does the kind of volume of music across genres that we do. Like, I don't think it's possible. We do it across languages, across genres, be it film, non-film. I think the kind of versatility we all have as musicians, as Indian musicians, I don't see that anywhere else.
Yeah, and just the variety of work that you guys do, like I said at the start of our conversation, I mean, it's just amazing how not just languages, genres, even formats that you guys are working on. It's like, and each format has its own thing, right? Like whether you're working for a TV show, whether you're doing something for OTT platform, whatever, And so I just want to like wrap things up and ask you guys, again, what can we look forward to in the new year from you guys? GV, you mentioned Thalaivi, right?
It's a biopic of Jayalalitha, and we are trying to bring back the retro era of music, like R.D. Burman and M.S. Viswanathan, that kind of music where you had all these accordions and doodlings and all those things. I brought it back to life in that album. I you should listen and tell me how it is.
Sounds very exciting. More English stuff so we can look forward to.
I'm looking at 2 more singles next year. So I need to squeeze in time and then start working on concepts. First, I work on a concept. I create a concept and then I start writing for it. And then I discuss and I make a song. So I need to I have some concepts in mind, maybe work towards that. That is happening. And my acting films, like I've got 4 films completed. I have to like release them. These are all in the pipeline for now.
And even an English film, right? Like it looks like a proper hip hop film.
Yeah, I'm acting with Brandon Jackson. He's the guy who acted in Fast and Furious and all. So in a film called Trap City. It's an underground hip hop film. So I'm part of it. So that is also going to release.
That's amazing.
Song on that as well, right? Yeah.
I have some ones.
Yeah. Roger, what can we expect? You mentioned some more heartbreak song.
That's more heartbreak. More tears, more pain. Lot of good films, that were about to come in 2020. Didn't really. The edits were stopped and whatever. So they are on their way. But I think I'm the most excited for my own stuff on my own channel, which I promote with very limited money that I have. And I've got some amazing songs, some experimental songs. But I think that is where I get the most of the joy now.
Nikita, are you going to come back on another 30 songs?
I really do hope so. I hope people are enjoying the songs and I'm not just like releasing anything and everything. But the last few were pretty interesting because I did one song which we visualized it on the story of a transgender man. I played the wife and it was like really cool. It was really fun for me because it was a song like which I produced and composed. So it was like, as a musician, it's like really close to my heart. So like I said, like I don't really care about the streams. It's about the heart that you put into the project. And I did a collaboration with an American-based artist as well, like an English song. So more stuff like that. And film is happening as it is. I didn't expect any film songs to release, but like Burj Khalifa was a surprise. Actually, all film releases are surprises for me. Anyway, I'm like, oh, this song came out, okay. But yeah, I guess just expect more music.
Yeah, a lot more music. I find Arman, like, you have so much stuff, and I'm guessing a whole bank of unreleased stuff as well, right?
Arman is shifting base to North Pole.
Yeah, I have quite a few songs that I was actually planning to release in 2020, but since a lot has already come out, I kind of wanted to bring in the new year and the new sound and new music. So there'll be English singles, obviously, some international collaborations that I'm planning.
Wow, okay. Anything that you can talk about?
No. Zip.
Always.
Then there's a few Bollywood film songs. The one that I'm really looking forward to is the Saina Nehwal biopic. I have a few songs in that. My Hindi singles that I'm going to be putting out. 2021 is going to be really special because I'm planning to do stuff on my own like imprint. Like I'm planning to like bring out my own imprint and do stuff under that. Going forward. So it's going to be very exciting.
Are you planning to work with other artists also on that? Or?
I'm planning to work with other artists, and the future goal is to get other artists to probably release their music through that as well. Like I want to create like an artist friendly kind of thing. So
wow,
that's
amazing. Yeah. Best of luck to you all, and I'm really looking forward to all of this music. And thank you so much. This was such a fun conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amit.
Thank you. Thanks, Amit.
I will hear more of you, even if
yes.
New Year. Thanks.